Hey YouTube, Joeboy here. So, chapter 905 of One Piece is out. So if you haven't checked out that chapter yet, I suggest that you do so, because I will be spoiling you. But now that you have, let's begin. So this was a chapter that I and many others figured would eventually come, the actual introduction of all the various guests and players at the Reverie. And that was pretty much the entirety of this last chapter. But I think that as we should expect from the Reverie, amidst what is fairly straightforward, there's a lot of little nuggets of just really interesting information. I think you can draw a lot of interesting conclusions. This is a chapter which really lends towards discussion. But anyway guys, before we get into it, if you watched my video from earlier in the week, there was an editor comment for chapter 905 which suggested that we might get Wano in this chapter, but obviously if you read the chapter, there was zero Wano here whatsoever. And so I'm almost at my wit's end with the editors if it weren't for the translation of the editor comment for the next chapter, which is far less ambiguous than the previous one and literally just straight up states that we're going to get Wano. It says, going to Wano, what awaits them there? So guys, if we do not get Wano in the next chapter, then I am forever putting these editor comments on ignore. Like, they're not worth a single ounce of thought. Because the last one was misleading, but maybe they cut out a portion of Wano at the end of the chapter, somewhere between the weeks. That's definitely possible. But when you make an editor comment that just straight up says we're going to Wano. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it there. So I think that we will start at the cover story. So the cover story does not really interest me, and as far as discussion, it's kind of funny, right? Or Lumbus, folding laundry. But what's most curious to me about this cover story or this cover page is there's text on it. There's small text on books. There's also a map which is titled. And this is the kind of thing that you can never be sure if you could actually read what is written. But it requires certain abilities to enlarge the photo or improve the resolution in order to get that work. Usually someone like Arter from the Library of Ohara does that. But I'm just going to point that out to you guys for anybody who might be able to make out what is on the books. There could be interesting information on there. But anyway, going further into the chapter, we see that Fujitora has actually made an appearance at the Reverie and is going to talk about this Shichibukai. This is something that has been speculated for a very long time. I made a video in the past talking about the possibility that maybe he doesn't even need to be here in order to accomplish his objectives, but at the same time it has always made sense for Fujitora to make an appearance, and we finally have confirmation he is here. The more surprising person present at the Reverie, although it was also speculated by people, but I don't know if it could have been fully justified before now, but it no longer matters because we know that he is here. Green Bull will be at the Reverie, and I know you guys are hyped about that. But anyway, the conversation between Green Bull and Fujitora is interesting in a bunch of different ways. But let's first talk about it from Fujitora's perspective. Let's go over exactly what he said, or what Green Bull asked him, and then what he said. Green Bull asked Fujitora, "You went on a long trip, didn't you? How was Old Man Vegapunk doing?" Fujitora then goes to say, "I didn't get the chance to meet him, but he created something incredible. I see. So in other words, we no longer need the 7 warlords." So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's just talk about what is like a general question to ask. I don't think a lot of people may be asking at this point in time, which is, Fujitora obviously went on some sort of quest. Clearly it was not to chase down the Straw Hats. He went to go do something else. And for some reason or another, that involved meeting Vegapunk. Why is that the case? I cannot answer that question. What does Fujitora have to do with Vegapunk? Why did Fujitora prioritize meeting with Vegapunk? I truly wonder if Fujitora and Vegapunk might be on some level of friend. It's kind of hard to speculate from this line alone, but at the very least might have similar motivations to sort of make the Shichibukai obsolete. But really, that is the more obvious takeaway from this conversation. If you guys remember from a video that we made recently, and other people noticed, at the beginning of the Reverie, they were reading the newspaper, and for some reason or another, Weevil and Vegapunk were in the newspaper. We talked briefly about Vegapunk, the various possibilities as to why whatever he was doing is newsworthy, but I think that we got an answer to that question in this chapter. Vegapunk has clearly created something amazing. Something so amazing and useful that it will replace the 7 Shichibukai. This is something that we have talked about a lot in the past, but the Shichibukai are something that the world government and the Marines really value, as a stabilizing force. It's no surprise that in the war in Marineford, in order to compete with the Whitebeard pirates, the world government felt as though the Shichibukai had to be there. So obviously we know that Fujitora intends on taking down the Shichibukai, and he may or may not be successful. But if he is successful and the Shichibukai contribute to the balance of powers, then once gone, the balance of powers would be thrown out of whack. That's a concern that the Marines would have if it was abolished. And so I've speculated in the past that perhaps the Marines and the world government do whatever is necessary in order to keep the Shichibukai because of how important they are, but now their importance has been completely nerfed by Vegapunk. Or at least in Fujitora's opinion. It becomes so much more likely that the Shichibukai will be outlawed. And I don't want to sit here and discuss every possible thing relating to this, but when you're talking about characters like Boa Hancock or Buggy, that's a big deal. Now, as for exactly what has Vegapunk created, I think that this is a battle between our imaginations and Oda's imagination. It's a battle that probably, as a community, we're not going to win. That being said, my sort of idea for maybe what Vegapunk has created is like elite pacifista. If you have just normal pacifista, they seem to have been upgraded over the time skip. Maybe there's certain technology, using perhaps something that has been foreshadowed within the series, like iron liqueur. Some sort of a limiting resource of some kind, so you cannot create many of these. But these pacifista created in this way, would be more along the levels of a Shichibukai. And so guys, I do have a particular idea in mind, but I think that I'm going to save it for a standalone video because I think that it's incredibly hype and deserves its moment to shine as an idea. But the general thought, as simple as it might be, is something along the lines of pacifista captains. But anyway guys, let's talk about Green Bull, or shout out to my good friend Dritz the Theorist, because he's wanted me to say this for a long time. We're going to say this once and only once. Ryokyugyu. Chapter 905 gave us a very rare Green Bull sighting. Now, Oda didn't show him, and I say him very poignantly, him clearly, obviously it's still just a silhouette, so there will obviously be some sort of grand entrance for Green Bull. But I'll take whatever I can get at this point. And so similar to the previous silhouette that we got to see of Green Bull from behind, it appears as though Green Bull has very long hair. But unlike as we have speculated in the past that there's some possibility Green Bull might be a woman, looking at him here, he doesn't have womanly features. If Green Bull ends up being a woman at this point in time, it would be such a huge plot twist. That being said, I don't think you can rule out anything, but I think that if you think that Green Bull is a woman at this point in time, you'd be in the minority, because it looks like a dude, laughs like a dude, and is into women. The trifecta of manliness. But yeah, the most obvious thing that really sticks out about Green Bull that Oda decided to reveal to us is that Green Bull has not eaten in 3 years. And so the world of One Piece is a very strange and magical place. And I definitely think that there is some possibility, right, that just Green Bull does not need to eat. It's just how it is. For one reason or another, maybe we see him and he's completely emaciated in some way or another, and that's just how he lives his life. This is almost completely up to Oda's choosing what he wants to do, because, I mean, you have characters like Kaido that fall, thousands of feet in the air and then, get up as though nothing happened. That's not realistic. That being said, guys, we've seen situations like Sanji and Zeph in the past, and not eating for 3 years is not normal. And I think the consensus, this is what I thought when I read the chapter, and I've seen a lot of people saying the exact same thing, so I don't think that it's crazy. Everyone was already speculating that Green Bull might have some sort of plant-related devil fruit. This is because the colors and the code names for the admirals relate to their devil fruit every single time. You talk about Kainu, which means red dog, he has a magma fruit. Aokiji, blue pheasant, has an ice fruit, blue and ice, it works together. Kizaru, yellow monkey, yellow works with light. And even purple, as Fujitora is purple tiger, works with gravity. So you have Green Bull, then his color of his name would in some way be reflected in his devil fruit, and the most obvious conclusion is that he might have some sort of plant's devil fruit. There's many various ways in which you can speculate it past this point, but this was probably the consensus, the community perspective on this. And so when you see in a chapter that Green Bull has not eaten for 3 years, and that isn't normal, I think the most obvious thought that can occur to you, especially relating to a possible plant like devil fruit, is that Green Bull doesn't need to eat because he photosynthesizes, just like a plant. In my mind, I'm just gonna be honest guys, in my mind, it is essentially confirmed that Green Bull's devil fruit is in some way related to plants. There's many ways that it can take it. It could be a plant like Zone, it could be like a plant like Paramecia, maybe some sort of plant like Logia. I don't know how that will work, but maybe it works. But in my heart, I believe 100% that Green Bull can photosynthesize. And I think that this is further backed up by how Oda decided to draw him in the scene, which he was lounging on what appears to be basically a beach chair, the kind of thing that you go out on the beach and soak in the sun's rays. I think that these things are related. But yeah, aside from his powers and his appearance, we also got a little bit of clues as to his personality, which I personally think is just as interesting. I'm gonna be honest guys, Green Bull might already be, or might end up being, my favorite admiral just based on his personality alone. He's my kind of dude. He's just loud and boisterous, he seems full of life and enjoys living. Whereas Aokiji was kinda lazy, kinda lacking in energy, Akainu is just a dick, right? Kizaru just seems to be all over the place, kinda whimsical, and Fujitora is more contemplative. I would say I'm probably more contemplative, but I really appreciate people out there who are just kinda like, let's grab a girl or two and have some fun tonight. There's a lot of speculation about Green Bull's personality in the past. In fact, it was a video that I intended to make. But one of the thoughts is that being a bull, just like the color in each of the Admiral's codenames relates to their ability, their animal reflects in many ways their personality. So a lot of people were looking for the connection between bull or cow or ox and speculating what Green Bull could be like. And one of the thoughts as Green Bull is that bulls are difficult to control. And I think that the interpretation that we got of Green Bull in this chapter kind of lends towards that perspective. Green Bull is just kind of a guy who goes out and has fun, does what he wants to do. That's the impression I got. Also thought it was really interesting, it's kind of implied that Green Bull cooked the meal that Fujitora was eating, so apparently he's a chef as well. Although I think that most chefs would tell you they would look down on somebody who cooks but does not try their own food. Green Bull vs Sanji confirmed. But yeah guys, I don't think that this is a complete picture of Green Bull's personality, just as the same as not a complete picture of his appearance or abilities. But I like new information in this, so I really love this. But yeah, we also got to meet several of the other kings that are going to be present at the Reverie, and all of these characters scream out to me as though Oda is saying these characters are so unimportant, you shouldn't devote more than just one momentary thought about them. You have King Beer the Fourth from the Russian kingdom, and you have like Russian dolls. It's actually really off-putting. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Oda didn't call him King Vodka. King Hamburger from the Bollywood kingdom, so I guess this is like the Indian Hollywood. Clearly this is a person who is not from America, who has adopted American culture. Oda even took the time to throw in a one-liner for him. I've never turned my back. Kia! Bro, I already hate this guy. And then you have Queen Mororon. I think that this is probably some sort of pun. Like they talked about in the chapter, they translated it that moron and moron could be a type of rice cake, but I think that Oda is literally saying that she's a moron. The beautiful idiot. Then you have King Tacos, who is our resident Hispanic. As stereotypical as possible. If you're going to kneel while alive, then at least die standing. Bro, shut the fuck up. So yeah, if you couldn't tell, I don't really care about these characters at all, but apparently they'll be present, so we'll see them do something. We also see the fishermen arrive, Garp is accompanying them, and to be honest with you, we don't really learn anything new. It just seems to be reiterating what the fishermen are here for and what the perspective of many of the people on the surface is about them. Really, from this whole scene, three things caught my attention. First of all, Stelly, or Sterry as he's called, seems to have grand ambitions for himself. Obviously, he did not start off as part of the royal family, but was adopted. It appears as though he killed his own father, adopted father, in order to become the king, which seems well within his character, and he has loftier ambitions to become a celestial dragon. All the luck to you, bro. I think the timing is probably really bad. Already looking for some Sabo revenge here shortly. We learn for the first time, really, that Garp's perspective on these celestial dragons calls them scumbags, yet he is still a marine. I think that, really, if you wanted to, you could discuss this for a long time. I think it is interesting. And Sterry's prejudices against the fishmen are like, curious to me. They're classified as fish, and there are rumors that when you come into contact with them, you'll contract a rare disease. How do these rumors even start? Who starts these rumors? Like, I'm looking at you, Celestial Dragons. Why are you starting rumors about the fishmen? But yeah, the fishmen are here in order to get the fishmen up into the surface, the entire society itself. And I think that the direction of the story is going to be absolutely vital in the future. Really, I mean it when I say it, absolutely vital. And last, we end off this chapter with the reveal of how exactly the Revolutionary Army are planning to sneak into the Reverie, and they are clearly doing it as escorts of some kind, pretending to be royalty. And there's an offhand mention that the giant Morley is actually traveling up through the red line, given his fruits, which were previously described, because apparently Stelly saw him. Or Stary. I gotta get used to that. But yeah, guys, this chapter had a lot of interesting and nice world building. I love the detail that Oda put into the little contraption which travels up the Grand Line. When you really look at it closely, it's just a cool thing. As well as all the various tidbits of information, helping us better understand the characters that will be present at the Reverie, and what their motivations are. I don't think that we're done introducing new characters, but these are probably going to be the ones that are going to be talking the most outside of previous established characters such as Alabasta and Wapple and Dalton, etc. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I have to say today. If you noticed something from this chapter that I might have missed, just share your thoughts. Like the video if you liked the video, dislike the video if you disliked the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.